with you today. My name is Eskamani, and I'm a proud advocate right alongside March for Our Lives for responsible and safe gun policies. And before I get started, I want to honor our young activists today. Can we hear it for our student organizers? These are the next generation of leaders in our state and union, and they continue to hold each one of us accountable to a brighter, more prosperous future. I am an Orlando local, born and raised in this sweet town, and the daughter of working class immigrants who came to this country in search of the American dream, in search of freedoms, including the freedom to be safe. I went to Orange County Public Schools K through 12, and I remember having hurricane drills, but never having to have a shooting drill. I'm a UCF graduate not once, but twice, and remember, even at UCF, having a almost mass shooting when students began to pile into the student union in their pajamas because a shooter was just stopped in one of our dormitories. And I am proud to be the State House representative right here in District 47. We gather here today to declare not one more. Not one more student lost to gun violence. Not one more teacher that has to defend their students against an assault rifle. Not one more news alert of a mass shooting in America, and not one more tweet from NRA bot politicians giving us their thoughts and prayers. We honor those no longer with us through action and stand united in finding power and pain as we remember the victims lost to gun violence in this country, those in the headlines and those you will never hear about. Columbine, Virginia Tech, a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, a Sikh temple in Wisconsin, Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut, a naval facility in Washington, D.C., an African-American church in South Carolina, Planned Parenthood Health Center in Colorado, a holiday party in San Bernardino, California, Latin night at Pulse nightclub, a country music concert in Las Vegas, Nevada, a high school in Parkland, a Taiwanese church in California, spas in Atlanta, Georgia, a yoga studio in Tallahassee, Florida, a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, an African-American grocery store in Buffalo, New York, and Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Not one more. Tomorrow is the 6th-year remembrance of Pulse nightclub, where 49 mostly queer, black and brown people were murdered in our community at the hands of an assault weapon. And despite holding rallies and sit-ins at people like Senator Marco Rubio's office, what did our politicians do? Nothing. But I want to stress that we did make some gains. The Florida legislature passed modest reforms after the Parkland shooting. And of course, we elected people like me into the State House. And I want to invite, if there are any candidates or elected officials who are here today, if you are here, join me on stage. I want people to see the resistance fighting for gun safety policies. Don't be shy. Come on, y'all. We want to see you. These are candidates who will not be taking any money from the NRA. These are candidates who will be getting an F- from the NRA. Where the only money you'll see in our race from the NRA is money to try to take us down. But it won't work because we have seen the grassroots foundation of organizations like the Florida Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence, Moms Demand Action, Giffers, and of course, March for Our Lives. Now, when we're in the Florida State Capitol, we're not just playing defense, we're playing offense. guns, like a state ban on all semi-automatic assault weapons and large-capacity feeding machines. Military weapons belong in the military, not in our neighborhoods, not in our communities. We are filing bills for comprehensive universal background checks, which are supported overwhelmingly by Americans from every political ideology. We're fighting for gun storage requirements to ensure that children cannot play with guns at home and hurt themselves and others. Florida already increased the age of purchase of firearms to 21 years old. We want the entire country to do the same. We want an expansion of risk protective orders. Florida has a very modest red flag law that has already been used more than 6,000 times to prevent mass shootings. It works. We should expand it and make it available across the nation. We want to see firearm legislation that protects victims of domestic violence. You are 5 times more likely to die in escaping a situation of violence when there is a gun in the home. We will continue to refuse policies like open carry, permitless carry, and campus carry. And of course, we want to supply our educators with pencils and notebooks, not with guns. Gun violence should not be a political issue, nor a partisan one. It should be about people. And the reality is that gun violence in America is deeply rooted in toxic masculinity, white supremacy, transphobia, queerphobia, and disproportionately impacts the lives of women, LGBTQ+ people, people of color, people with disabilities, indigenous people, and our young people. And we stand in solidarity with our students and young people who are fighting against gun violence at every level, from Black Lives Matter to Say Her Name to Bands Off Our Bodies. And please remember that ending gun violence is not just about mass shootings. In Florida, on average, someone dies from gun violence every 3 hours. These are people who are taking their own lives, kids playing with firearms, and community violence. In addition to gun safety policies, we need investments, meaningful, transformational investments in mental health alongside community intervention programs, harm reduction programs. We over-incarcerate in this country. There are people who need medical treatment, not an arrest. But what we don't need are politicians hijacking the Second Amendment for their own political ambitions. Please remember that the Second Amendment explicitly states, well-regulated. And many of these politicians claim to be pro-life. Well, there is nothing pro-life about Floridians dying every 3 hours to gun violence. If our goal is to save lives, we are running out of time. And so please, don't just march today. We can't just mobilize, we must organize. We're providing voter registration on site. Many of my volunteers and staff of People Power for Florida are here, registering voters. We have organizations where you get plugged in to take action. It is a campaign election year. Get involved, support the folks on this stage with me, support your neighborhood-based organizations. Do not lose hope, because lives are depending on our commitment of sustained and transformational change. And so don't just march today, organize for tomorrow, and vote like your life depends on it, because it does. Thank you.